question is, you have said already, and I won't rehearse it all, that you were not at that meeting as a paid advisor. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
But you did give advice.
I spoke about the sector.
No, but please don't dance on the head of a pin. So,
sorry. Yeah, well,
sorry, just bear with me.
Sorry, yes.
You were certainly there as an unpaid advisor, because you were obviously brought in to give advice. You weren't there to sit there. You were there to contribute to the meeting and to give an opinion and to give advice. Would that be fair?
I was there as the invitation which when I was contacted, it was about to talk about the Fair Deal scheme. It was also to talk about some of the research work that we had just finished.
I'll get to all of that in a second, because I have media reports of what happened at the meeting, and I can only stick to the media reports because we can't deal with the actual notes that has been presented to the committee, although you say you're seeking legal advice and you're uncomfortable with some of what's in that, which also troubles me. But I'll stick to the newspaper reports. My point is that they certainly seem to suggest that you gave advice. And I'll walk you through all of that now in 1 second. Are you still holding to the view that you did not give any advice whatsoever to the nursing home providers?
I outlined my understanding of the Fair Deal scheme. My understanding.
It's not the question I asked. I asked for distinct answers. Please, Mr. McEnery.
Sure.
Either you gave advice or you did not. Did you give advice?
I believe what I did was I outlined. I gave a summary of how the scheme worked. Did you give advice? I believe it was my experience. That's what I gave. I gave the content of my professional experience of dealing with the National Treatment Purchase Fund, and on other aspects, for instance, like labour rates, labour shortages, I gave what is my experience from being.
So I've listened to you now for 30 seconds and you still haven't answered the question. So can I take from your question then, or your response, that you did not give advice? Is that your?
I outlined my experience around the issues which were being discussed.
And you're not answering the question
but
again.
I think it's the most.
Listen, sorry, Cahill. I mean, when you ask a straight question, and I deserve a response, either you gave advice or you did not give advice. If you say you did not give advice, then say it. If you gave advice, say it. It's one or the other. It can't be in the middle. You either gave advice or you did not. So please answer the question that's been put to you.
Well, I'm trying to answer it in as accurate a way as I can.
No, you're not. You're bluffing with respect. I'm asking you to answer the question. Did you give advice or not? It's a very straight question. It's very obvious to anybody that's in a meeting. If you give advice to an organisation, you give advice. If you don't, then you don't. So either you gave advice or you did not.
I answered questions around my experience of dealing with the financial aspects of the Fair Deal scheme.
You're not going to answer the question. Okay, I'll get to that in 1 second. No, you're not answering the question with respect. You're answering it in the way you want to answer it, but you're not actually answering the question that's been put. To go back to the point that the Cahill made in terms of your very clear and your very precise understanding of what happened at the meeting and your account of it. So this happened 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And you're a very busy person because you wear multiple hats, because you were here in the past as an executive member, a board member of NAMA, wasn't it?
Non-executive.
Non-executive member. Are you still a member of that non-executive member? Okay. And you also are chair of HiQA. Yes, correct. You're a partner in this company, BDO. So you wear multiple hats. You go to many meetings. I would imagine your life is full of meetings.
I go to
events, and you said seminars and all sorts of different events. And it would be amazing if you had that level of forensic understanding of everything that happened at every meeting. So do you have any contemporaneous notes of the meeting that took place 2 years ago?
No.
None?
I know what I was asked to speak about.
And I have that, but you said no. So you have no contemporaneous notes, and yet, as the Cahill has pointed out, very clear, very precise understanding of what happened. So can I put it to you that really the opening statement and your very clear and precise understanding is based on the notes of the meeting that you now dispute, that you're essentially reacting to that note?
No, it's not. It's based on my recollection of what I spoke to the meeting and when I was the answers to the questions which were posed to me, and it was around the issues which I have outlined in my statement.
Well, it's amazing that your opening statement is so clear and so precise about a meeting that took place 2 years ago, where there is no contemporaneous notes whatsoever, and they go into very clear detail of exactly what was said and your role, which actually is contradicted in the media reports. If I can get to them now, and we maybe tease some of this out, Mr. McEnery. I'm looking at 2 different media reports, both of which were covered in The Independent, one on the 8th of October and one on the 18th of October. And the first says that the chairman of HiQA, which is you, attended a confidential meeting of private nursing home operators at which a boycott of the Fair Deal scheme was mooted. Do you dispute that there was any talk of a boycott of the scheme at that meeting?
I believe that there was the word was used inside in the meeting.
So the word boycott was used in the meeting, and you are the chair of HiQA. And you don't see any difficulty with that. In fact, you stayed, and there is accounts will go further down the note I have here in terms of the reporting of the meeting. It astounds me that you would still stay in that meeting when the possibility of a boycott was put on the table.
I didn't. I can assure the deputy that I did not. And I was not in any way associated with that word, with that comment, or with that sentiment.
So when the media report here, again the one on the 8th of October and the one on the 18th of October, says that you made a contribution where you talked about agreeing a cost of care, equal treatment of the same and similar nursing homes, and that there was an immediate intervention then following your contribution from legal advisors, where they say that we're in very serious danger now of discussing anti-competitive behaviour. So they were directly responding to a contribution that you made, and that's an account of what's in the media. That obviously would be very troubling for me, and I would imagine it would be very troubling for you. So if you've read those media reports, and you've also read the notes that we can't discuss here, and they say very similar things. They chime very much with what's in the media reports. That would be very concerning if in fact that is true, if the accounts of what are in the media are true, and you did in fact say these things. That would account to advocating anti-competitive practices, would it not?
Can I absolutely and emphatically say I did not advocate anything that would be anti-competitive. What I, in actual fact, have said is what I've outlined in this statement, which is that I have at all times indicated that engagement with the National Treatment Purchase Fund, which can take 3 forms. It can take the initial meeting, and National Treatment Purchase Fund will give an offered price. You can negotiate with the National Treatment Purchase Fund, and then there is the possibility of an appeals process. That is exactly what I
The media reports also say that you said at the meeting that the National Treatment Purchase Fund, when threatened, can back down. Did you say that?
No, I did not.
You did not.
And
say
that is the issue which I have
so
around.
That's the issue. That's the one that you take exception.
And I did not use that word.
It's
and
not the fact that it says that you were talking about an agreed cost of care and uniformity in relation to the price that would be paid to the individual nursing homes. You don't dispute that part of it then?
If I can explain to you,
2 minutes, Deputy.
If I can explain to you, I absolutely did not use the word threatened, and I wouldn't use the word threatened. There isn't, if I can explain to you, there isn't really a basis to threaten the National Treatment Purchase Fund, quite frankly. And I didn't use that term.
Okay.
Secondly, if I can just say then, in respect of cost of care, I produced a model around cost of care which gives the components of how a cost of care is calculated. That's what I alluded to, which is a model around not saying that here's a price.
Sorry, I have to stop you there, Mr. McEnery, because that's not what is in the media reports in terms of what was said at the meeting. So we unfortunately don't have time to go into it all. We have to wait until we get legal opinion as to whether we can actually discuss a note which clearly contradicts almost everything that was in your opening statement. But just park that for 1 second. Are you aware that there is now an examination by the competition watchdog in respect to some of this as well? Are you aware that they have commissioned an investigation?
I saw that on RT News very late last night.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. And that would obviously be concerning to you, because that would be very concerning to me. Yeah. Can I put questions now to Mr. Quinn and Ms. Dunyan, Mr. Redmond and Mr. Keating? Well, I understand that. I've just one question I have for them. Are all of the other witnesses members of HiQA or representatives of HiQA? Everybody here?
The two employees of HiQA are myself as Chief Executive Officer and Mary Dunyan as Director of Regulation and Chief Inspector.
Okay. Can I just say that it absolutely astounds me. I'm astounded, obviously, by what I've heard from Mr. McEnery. I'm equally astounded that both of you can still sit there today and have confidence in Mr. McEnery, that you don't see any difficulty, because I would agree with the previous speakers. In my view, without question, Mr. McEnery should stand down as the chair of HiQA, without prejudice, pending the outcome of an examination and an investigation which is ongoing, pending the very serious questions and concerns that I have and other members have. He can account for himself. If I was him before the close of business today, I would be offering my resignation. But you have a duty, and the organisation has a duty to protect itself. And I'm astounded, absolutely astounded, that HiQA has taken the course of action that it has. And I don't think it will end well for the organisation, because everything that we have seen here is very troubling and very alarming. And the opening statement from Mr. McEnery is very troubling and alarming to me, and his responses are also troubling. So if they're troubling to me, I cannot for the life of me understand how they don't cause the same alarm bells to go off in your head, Mr. Quinn, and your head, Ms. Dunyan. So can I just ask you to respond to that, please?
Well, again, the appointment of the non-executive chair and the members of the board are not a matter for the executive of the authority. So,
do you have a concern?
Do
you have a concern? I'm asking you about everything you've heard so far. Do you have a concern?
Well, I would have a concern that there should be any interference from a non-executive in the, I suppose, the reputation and the business of the authority, whether that be under Section 8 functions of the authority or under Section 42 sections of the authority, and that's in healthcare and in.
But notwithstanding how somebody is appointed, is there a facility for an organisation like HiQA, when issues like this emerge, that people can say, listen here, red flags have been raised, we need to deal with this? Is there any mechanism that's in place within the organisation to deal with this, where if Mr. McEnery is not prepared to take the decision himself, that individuals within HiQA can take a decision that, in the best interest of the organisation, Mr. McEnery should, without prejudice, step aside from his position? Are you telling me that's not possible?
What I could say to you is that I genuinely don't believe it's possible for the executive to take that decision. I do believe that there is a non-executive.
But could you advise?
Well, there is a non-executive board,
yes,
as well, of 10 members, which is inclusive.
And had they met to discuss this issue?
No, they haven't met to discuss.
And should they meet to discuss this issue?
Well, I imagine that they will be discussing this issue in the very near future.
You imagine they will? Well,
yes.
When is that just something in your head, or have you have any concrete view of that? Have you been informed that they will meet?
Well, I certainly have talked to Mr. McEnery about the potential for that meeting because of the issues that have been discussed here today.
And at that meeting, would it be possible for Mr. McEnery's position to be discussed?
Well, I would imagine that Mr. McEnery will discuss, I suppose, the circumstances and obviously his position in this instance.
Okay, thank you.